Greetings. I am Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, Chief Metallurgist to King Charles V of Spain, and I'm at your service.
Who?
Russell Crowe is playing Connor MacLeod's teacher Ramirez in Henry Cavill's Highlander Reboot. In this video I'll explain why he was cast in the role, consider whether or not he's a good fit, and share some insights from an interview that Russell Crowe had with a newspaper here in Scotland. My name is David McMurdo and welcome to Highlander Lore, where you learn the deepest Highlander lore from a Highlander.
You cannot die, MacLeod. Accept it.
I hate you.
Good. That is a perfect way to start.
Ramirez was an Egyptian that was 2,437 years old when he met Connor in medieval Scotland, and at that time he was living as a Spanish metallurgist.
Achoo! Be still, for God's sake! You'll tip us over!
So?
I cannot swim, you Spanish peacock!
I'm not Spanish, I'm Egyptian.
You said you were from Spain! You're a liar!
Now, I talked about how I always wanted Dave Bautista to play the Kurgan in the Highlander Reboot.
Kurgan!
Ramirez.
But if you asked me who I thought should play Ramirez after Sean Connery did in the original movie, I'd have said Antonio Banderas. Most remember him from his 90s roles, such as when he played the lead in The Mask of Zorro.
You knew Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez?
Mm-hmm.
Connor's teacher? Oh, they say there was nothing he could not do with a sword.
Or with a lady.
Hey, have you guys ever seen The 13th Warrior? It's a movie based on Michael Crichton's book, Eaters of the Dead, and while it's flawed, I really enjoy it.
In the halls of Valhalla,
Where the brave
they live.
forever.
Needless to say, Banderas has had plenty of sword experience, and he's aged into someone that looks just perfect for a wise mentor role. Now, I'm not someone that thinks that actors have to be exactly what they're portraying. After all, the whole point of acting is to portray something other than oneself.
You better make it look good.
Like you say, darling, I'm an actor.
Oh, good.
But it sure does help that Banderas is not only actually Spanish, but could also easily pass for an Egyptian. Of course, although Russell Crowe is from New Zealand, he played a Spaniard in what is undoubtedly his most iconic role.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
So how did Crowe come to be cast as Ramirez? Well, it's because of a connection that he made with Henry Cavill 2.5 decades ago when he was filming a movie called Proof of Life, and Cavill was still an unknown.
He introduces himself and, he just asked me, how do you get into acting? And so we had this very, very brief conversation. Then we got swamped by these other kids. A couple of days later, I was doing a present for the kid from that school who'd played my son, who's a boy called Merlin Hanbury Tennyson, his name's. And so I was doing a thing for him, and then I had some other things left over, and I was, what was that other kid's name? Oh, Henry. So I wrote on a photo of Gladiator, of Maximus, which was a movie that had not actually been released yet, to Henry, Journey of 1,000 Miles begins with a single step, Russell.
Wow.
Cavill and Crowe would next meet as the two were preparing to film Man of Steel in 2011.
I'm working on one side of the gym, he's working on the other, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm Superman's dad. I reckon that must be Superman over there. Kind of looks like it, So we worked in the gym a week or some more together before we talk, And finally one day he comes over, puts his hand out, and we start talking. And I just, at one point, I went, do I know you? And he goes, yes, sir, you do. And he reminded me, and I went, Henry? That Henry? Is this Henry? It was crazy.
That's wild.
Absolutely wild, right?
He sends me a rugby jersey, Vegemite band CD, Aussie candy, and this poster or picture of him from Gladiator saying, Dear Henry, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, Russell. And that has sat in my bedroom in Jersey for years, during all the times that I went to LA for 3 months at a time, not getting a job, came back to Jersey or London, worked in a bar until I got enough money to fly back again and didn't get a job, and then wash and repeat. And every time I would look at that and go, you know what? Okay, keep on plugging, because it's not a short journey. It's a journey of 1,000 miles, and that's just the first section.
It was due to this decades-long bond that Crowe was cast as Ramirez at Cavill's request.
You know, he's kind of in the position of being the Highlander, and they asked him who he wanted to be Ramirez, and he said, I've only got one option, and you got to get him.
That's a great story, and although Russell Crowe wouldn't have ever been my first choice to play Ramirez, I think he's a good enough actor to exceed people's expectations in any role. But we know that although Chad Stahelski's version of Highlander is using the same characters as the original movie, it is deviating from the source material in many ways. So the question is, what will Russell Crowe's Ramirez be like? Well, in that interview with Joe Rogan, Crowe mentions doing not just sword training, but katana training specifically.
So I'm playing Ramirez, which was the Sean Connery character.
Oh, wow.
So I'm excited by it and really looking forward to it. But there I was, turning up to the gym to do my katana sword and, you know, going to these meetings and everything.
So it would seem that the Japanese element of Ramirez's background will be present in the Highlander reboot.
I was born 2,437 years ago. In that time, I've had 3 wives. The last was Shikiko, a Japanese princess. Her father, Masamune, a genius, made this for me in 593 BC. It is the only one of its kind.
Man, it's going to be so surreal seeing Russell Crowe as Ramirez going up against Dave Bautista as the Kurgan.
How do you fight such a savage?
With heart, faith, steel. In the end, there can be only one.
Now, in the original movie, Ramirez was killed by the Kurgan in medieval Scotland.
Tonight you sleep in hell. There can be only one!
But I wouldn't bet on Ramirez dying that same way in the reboot. And who knows, maybe he won't die at all. Chad Stahelski might want to keep such an iconic character around longer. If we ever see Russell Crowe as Ramirez on a modern day set, then we'll know that that's the case. What Stahelski definitely won't want to do is kill Ramirez off and then have him resurrected Highlander 2 style.
Here hung those lips that I have kissed I know not how oft.
Sir, whatever you gentlemen felt for each other when your friend was still alive is certainly none of my affair.
Training or not, I think Russell Crowe will still be a little beefier than Sean Connery was in the role of Ramirez, but I can live with a Ramirez that's a little portly.
Would you like some more wine?
Yes, please.
There's a lot that still remains uncertain about what Ramirez will be like in this Highlander reboot, but what Russell Crowe said to a Scottish newspaper earlier this month does tell us something about the approach that's being taken with the character. But before we get to that, please like the video and let me know what you think about Russell Crowe playing Ramirez and who you'd prefer in that role if you have such a preference. You can support Highlander Lore as an immortal on Patreon or a watcher here on YouTube for a bonus video and podcast each month. The links are below. Thank you for watching. So, in an interview with Scottish newspaper The Sunday Mail, Russell Crowe had some interesting things to say about his role as Ramirez in the Highlander reboot. As reported by The Sunday Mail's sibling paper The Daily Record, Russell Crowe is using Sir Sean Connery as his inspiration while filming the hotly awaited Highlander remake in Scotland. The Gladiator star is in the Highlands filming the blockbuster alongside Henry Cavill, 42, who is playing the lead role of Connor MacLeod, and Crowe, 61, is reprising the role famously played by the late James Bond icon Connery in the 1986 original. Oscar winner Crowe stars as Ramirez, the wandering immortal swordsman who becomes Connor's mentor and trains him to become a warrior. Speaking exclusively to the Sunday Mail, Crowe said, "Ramirez is quite obviously a skilled fighter and warrior, but more than that, he has so much wisdom and acts as a real mentor. Sean Connery is one of the absolute greats. It's a word that gets thrown around a little too easily for my liking, but when it comes to Sean, it couldn't be more apt. The greatest ever Bond, and he did a quite wonderful job of Ramirez. His portrayal of Ramirez is nothing short of iconic, and it would be foolish not to take inspiration from it, while at the same time trying to put my own spin on the character. And New Zealand-born Crowe has become such an honorary Scot already, he claims he does not even mind the dreich, wintry weather. He said, "It's something I am used to. I have filmed in freezing conditions in New York, so it sort of prepared me for the Highlands. The cold hits a little different in the Highlands, but I would describe it as refreshing." Crowe, who recently discovered he has Scots heritage through an 18th century Jacobite clan chief known as the Old Fox, confessed he is a keen student of our nation's history. "I am excited to film in such an iconic location. I have a huge interest in Scottish history. If I get a chance to visit anything historical, that would be fantastic." I'll put that article in the description box so you can read it for yourselves if you want. Now, when Crowe talks about filming in an iconic location, I'm not sure if he means the Highlands as a whole or somewhere specific like Glenfinnan. Wherever they were filming, it must have been remote because the Highlands aren't that big and I'd have heard of it otherwise, and photos and footage would have also emerged in the media. Why aren't the Watchers on this?
I think you overestimate the efficiency of the Watcher network.
Really? Oh, that's McLeod! Oh, look, I'll do what I can, okay? Good. I'll talk to you later. Thanks, Scott.
I think the main takeaway from that interview is that Sean Connery's performance as Ramirez is informing Crowe's own. It's only a good thing when an actor has respect for another whose footsteps they're following in, and I think we can expect Crowe's Ramirez to have the same demeanour as Connery's. It's not only Henry Cavill that Russell Crowe is being reunited with in this Highlander reboot either. Jimon Hounsou, who played Maximus's friend Juba in Gladiator, has also been cast in the movie, reportedly as African immortal Sunda Castigear. When I know more about Castigear and the other characters of the Highlander reboot, I'll report it here. But that's all for now, so thank you for watching, and remember, in the end, there can be only one.
Give me your hand, brother.